Everyone laughed when Caleb Warren raised his hand. The auctioneer stopped in the middle of the property list and looked over his glasses as if the old man had misunderstood. On the screen behind him was a photograph of a cabin so crooked it seemed to be leaning away from the mountain. "You know this one starts at $1, Mr. Warren," the auctioneer said. "Not because it is a bargain. Because the county wants it gone." The men in the back laughed first. Then the rest of the room joined in. Caleb did not lower his hand. Beside him, Ranger stood perfectly still. The German Shepherd was old, gray around the muzzle, but his body had the stiff attention of a dog who had once worked beside soldiers. He was not staring at the cabin photo. He was staring at Sheriff Dale Mercer. The sheriff smiled when he noticed. "That dog always look at people like that?" Caleb lowered his hand. "Only when he remembers something I don't." The room went quiet for half a second. Then the auctioneer slapped the folder. "Sold. $1. To the veteran with the brave dog and the bad investment." 3 days later, Caleb parked his truck in front of the ruined cabin with everything he owned in the back seat. He had a duffel bag, a toolbox, 2 cans of soup, a coffee tin with $42 in it, and Ranger. It was the first place in years where no one could tell him to move along. The roof sagged. The porch boards were soft. The windows had been broken by boys who had grown up and learned to laugh at other things. But Caleb saw a stovepipe he could fix, a floor he could sweep, and a corner where Ranger's blanket could go. "Home," Caleb said. Ranger did not step inside. The dog walked past the open door, circled the porch, lowered his nose to one rotten plank near the far post, and began to dig. Caleb pulled him back gently. "Not today, old man. First we make it livable." But Ranger returned to that same board before sunset. He pawed it until his nails scraped wood. He did it the next morning too. By noon, 2 trucks had slowed on the road so men could laugh out their windows. "Dog knows better than you," one called. "He's trying to bury the place before it falls down." Caleb kept working. He patched the window with plastic. He dragged wet carpet outside. He cleaned a dead mouse from the stove and found enough dry firewood to take the chill out of the room. That afternoon, Sheriff Mercer came by. "County still has inspection authority," the sheriff said, standing at the edge of the porch. "If this structure is unsafe, we can condemn it." Ranger stepped between him and Caleb, quiet but solid. The sheriff looked at the dog, then at the board under Ranger's paws. "I'd keep him from digging," Mercer said. "Old places have old trouble under them." That was the first time Caleb knew the sheriff was not warning him. He was afraid. After Mercer left, Ranger went back to the plank. Caleb knelt beside him with a pry bar. The board came up easier than it should have. Beneath it was not dirt. It was brickwork. Newer than the cabin. Laid in a hurry. Caleb worked until dark. By lantern light he found the edge of a narrow hatch, hidden beneath the porch and sealed with mud. The hinges were rusted nearly smooth. Ranger lay beside it with his chin on his paws, watching like a guard who had finally brought his handler to the right door. Inside was a crawl space. Then a short drop. Then a little room under the cabin, no larger than a pantry, with stone walls and a locked metal box on a shelf. Caleb expected nothing. Maybe county trash. Maybe a bottle. Maybe the reason Mercer wanted the cabin erased. He opened the box with a screwdriver and a soldier's patience. There was no gold. No cash. No treasure. There was a folded service flag, a bundle of letters tied with faded blue ribbon, a paid tax receipt from 1971, and a deed with the name Thomas Bell written across the top. Caleb sat on the dirt floor for a long time. The first letter was from Thomas Bell to his mother, written before he shipped out. He had bought the cabin with 2 years of pay and promised he would bring her there when he came home. The last letter was from his mother, never mailed. It said the county had taken the place after calling it abandoned, even though she had paid every dollar owed. At the bottom, in a shaking hand, she had written, "I hid the proof where nobody in that courthouse would think to look. If Thomas does not come back, let the house remember him." Caleb carried the box upstairs like it was a sleeping child. The next morning he took it to the records office. Nora Bell, the clerk, went pale when she saw the name on the deed. "Thomas Bell was my grandfather," she said. She read the papers once, then again, slower. Her hands shook on the old tax receipt. "My grandmother always said something was stolen," Nora whispered. Everyone told her grief had made her confused. Caleb looked through the office window at the courthouse lawn. Sheriff Mercer was outside, talking to 2 men in suits near a county truck. "Your sheriff told me old places have old trouble under them," Caleb said. Nora closed the box. "Then he knows." She worked after hours that night. Caleb stayed at the cabin with Ranger while rain moved through the trees. Near midnight, headlights came up the road. Mercer stepped onto the porch with a paper in his hand. "That box is county property," he said. "You had no right removing it." Ranger rose before Caleb did. The dog planted himself in the doorway, low growl filling the room. Mercer tried to smile. "Call him off." "He only moves when I believe a man," Caleb said. The sheriff looked past him at the open floorboard. "You should have taken the charity people offered you, Warren. You should have left this place alone." A lot of people told Mrs. Bell the same thing. Mercer's face changed then. Just enough. By morning, Nora had found the rest. The fake abandonment notice. The false tax debt. The transfer to a company owned by the old county assessor. And the newest paper, a resort access road planned across the same land, with a payout waiting for families who had no right to sell it. The town meeting was supposed to be about budgets. By 7 o'clock, every chair was full. Sheriff Mercer spoke first. He called Caleb confused. He called the cabin a hazard. He said old veterans deserved sympathy, but not the power to rewrite county history. Caleb did not argue. Nora stood with the metal box on the table. She read Thomas Bell's letter. She read his mother's final note. Then she laid out the receipts and the forged transfer, one page at a time, until the room went silent in a way laughter never could. When Caleb finally stood, he kept one hand on Ranger's head. "A month ago," he said, "you laughed because I bid $1 on a cabin nobody wanted. I don't hold it against you. It looked foolish." He looked at the box. "But that old woman kept the truth under that porch for a son who never came home. She did not know who would find it. She only believed somebody would." His voice softened. "I would have lived and died in that cabin and never known what was under my feet. Ranger found it. An old soldier nobody had much use for knew there was a wrong sleeping under that house, and he would not let it lie." No one laughed. Mercer resigned before the investigation was finished. The land transfer was frozen. The Bell family name went back on the cabin deed. Nora could have sold it. Instead, she wrote Caleb a lease for $1 a year. "My grandmother wanted the house to remember Thomas," she said. "You and Ranger made sure it did." By winter, the porch was rebuilt. The roof was straight. A brass plaque sat above the board Ranger had torn loose. Thomas Bell. Soldier. Son. Never forgotten. Caleb kept his chair beside it. Ranger slept with his nose near the repaired plank, as if even in dreams he was still guarding the room below. And when people passed that cabin now, they did not laugh. They slowed down.